welcome to another episode of Laying Down the Lore of the Old World, a lore podcast in which we aim to separate our dragons from our dryads, our griffins from our goblins, and our witch elves from our wood elves, and generally ask, what's up with this Warhammer stuff? My name is Ben Crone Barber, and while I used to know pretty much fuck all about Warhammer, I now know very little. With me is my co-host, Christopher Crowlin Allen.
I feel like I'm on the wrong show. Hello.
Who, despite years of valiant effort, still knows next to nothing.
Correct.
And my dear brother Darren.
To be fair, Chris, I think you're on the wrong show as well.
Yeah.
Who knows so much about Warhammer, it's frankly disturbing. After an abysmal attempt at playing Vermintide many moons ago, this dichotomy between our levels of understanding became clear, and this series is an attempt to address that ignorance.
It's a perfectly serviceable intro. It's just going to take a while to get used to it.
It is, yeah.
It feels uncomfortable at the moment. New pair of shoes, though, isn't it? New pair of shoes.
Exactly.
Wear them in a bit.
Yeah.
At that first bit, I wasn't really listening. What were you dragging over dryads?
Nice. You don't want to know.
So after, nearly 5 years, you thought it was finally time to release the fact that we know fuck all. I think we've learned quite a bit.
We can't have learned quite a bit. I mean, it's difficult because what I was trying to do with that intro was, without saying it verbatim, was explain that you and I know nothing in relative terms to Dark.
Yeah.
And that will always be the case.
Yeah,
because once we reach our mental capacity, in order to learn new stuff, we have to forget some stuff.
When? So, speak for yourself. Yeah.
So I feel like we're never going to even get close. But
I've learned so much more about Warhammer. I've forgotten my own phone number. I mean, how many people really know their own phone number anyway? To be fair,
me. I say it.
I have a vague notion of what my phone number is.
It's probably the only, actually, contrary to what I've just said, my own mobile number is probably the only number I know off the top of my head. This is going terribly. I am proving no points whatsoever. Okay.
Yeah. Well, you've kind of helped support the theory behind that new intro. So, but there was a lot of people saying like, I don't think you guys know fuck all anymore. And to those people, we say, fair enough. We hope you're happy.
Thank you for the engagement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you for. And speaking of which, we're just gonna brush over the support requests. I think everybody
follow us, support us, like, follow, subscribe.
No. You shut your goddamn mouth.
I don't give a shit. I'm shameless.
I think everybody listening knows the deal now. All right, we may make a mention of it at the end of the episode, but we don't need to get into it. We don't need to get into it. Like it's yeah. And it makes us all feel really uncomfortable, so it's not a great way.
Let's talk about not talking about it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'll tell you what, right? Let's just take a totally different direction and look at some tongue twisters that Dolly Mouse, our dear Dolly Mouse, the DJ of the Black Crag on our Discord, has sent.
In-house resident DJ.
In-house resident
DJ.
I'm going to post some of these in the chat on here, and I want you boys to try and say them. Right. So say it slowly first, and then try it faster. Crow, go this way.
Darren, you first or me first?
Pad, kid, poured, curd, pulled, cod.
Oh, it's toughy. Double time this time.
Poured, curd, pulled, cod.
Okay, you've got to say it 3 times fast.
3 times fast, 3 times fast, 3 times fast.
Nice, all right. Apparently that one is claimed by MIT researchers to be the hardest tongue twister in English.
Fucking MIT with their opinions.
Right, Crowd,
I'll do the next
one.
Okay. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southwards. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southwards. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southwards. Fucking hell. 6 sleek swans swam swiftly southwards.
I've got one for Ben.
Oh, here it comes. Something crude.
I feel like this is going to be rude as fuck. Here we go. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch. Irish wristwatch.
It's a killer, isn't it?
No, fuck that.
Take that, right. MIT.
Right, one more for you, Don.
The sixth, no. Just no.
Let's just
Chris, go for it.
I'll give it one go. Okay. The sixth sick sheik. The sixth sick shakes. Sixth ships sick.
Ships. The sixth
sick ship ship.
The sixth sheep's sick. Yeah, that is so much harder than pad kid poured curd pulled cod.
100%.
I think what's happened there is that the people at MIT who got together and organized this all had speech impediments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it was a skewed research project, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Fuck this shit. Can we have some Warhammer?
Warhammer. Yes, you can. Crow, you know what time is.
Hello, Reichland. It's time for Sarah's Every Recap.
Thank goodness you haven't changed that little bit. That will
Never
change. Never. Last episode, was it about Grail damsels and fate enchantresses? It was, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Let me rattle my brains. Yeah, the damsels and fate enchantresses, they serve the Lady of the Lake. They are taken, both boys and girls can often be taken by the fate enchantresses from their families. The girls often will become these beautiful, nearly kind of immortal, long-lived
women. The word you're looking for is
ladies. Women.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
That's the
Ladies.
Not much happens with the boys, and not like it's kind of hit and miss what happens with the boys. It's kind of like they're just meh. It's all about the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a girls' episode last episode.
It's positively anti-lads.
It was, yeah. Yeah, the damsels, I don't know, maybe Darren could say a few words. But apart from that, there was Rapans de Leonis as well.
Yeah.
The Joan of Arc of Bretonnia.
Yeah. The Galadin. Yeah.
The Galadin, that's the one, yeah. The Girladin.
Nice.
The Girladin.
Smashed it.
The Girladin. Rapans.
Way to diminish her accomplishments, Chris. The girl.
Rapans? What was, how do you pronounce it?
Rapans.
Yeah. She was chosen, nominated by the Lady of the Lake, wasn't she? To basically set an example, be the shining example of all that is good in Bretonnia, all that is good in humanity. After her village was burned down, her family were killed by who was she attacked by? Who were the family killed and village
I think it was
by?
Chaos Forces.
Greenskins?
Chaos Forces. It was Chaos Forces, I think.
Okay, cool.
At worst, a mixed day for Rapans de Leonis.
Yeah. Core memories formed right there.
Core
trauma set.
Core trauma formed right there. Yeah. But on the flip side, she became a badass fighter, a duchess, and the best,
all the men to
best of us. Exactly. Yeah. So vive la réponse.
Well, I don't think there's any call for swearing.
Yeah.
What? Right, you chomos, let's crack on. We have discussed regular heroes. We have discussed irregular heroes. We have then discussed the kind of female heroines. And we're making sure our chalices are ready, listeners. So this episode, we're going to talk about the dark reflection of the Bretonnian ideal. And we're going to look at the dark heroes of Bretonnia. So the kind of evil aspected knights, those who maybe perhaps aren't so evil, but have rebelled against the rule of the kind of selected kings and thus the Lady of the Lake as well. Mr. Chris.
So you're talking Maravic of Muzion and Maldred as well? Also from Muzion, apparently?
All right, smart arse.
Yeah, I can read as well, Chris. Both
of you are absolute knobheads.
Yeah. There's a bit honest today, Chris.
You're the one who changed the fucking intro. All right.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't a license for you to get all fucking swatty.
To get all partially informed, Chris.
But as Quiz,
Quiz.
even his name's a tongue twister. As Quiz says, quite correctly and astutely, we're going to start off with Maravic of Muzion, who we have discussed in the past. Can anyone remember? Mr. Chris. So I beg your pardon, Mr. Quiz.
I nominate Ben.
Mr.
Well,
Ben.
I can't talk right now because I'm peeling and eating an egg, and I'm too far away from the mic. So, Kral, I'm going to have to leave it to your superior knowledge.
All right, okay.
Oh, have you twisted my arm?
Okay, I'll flex my Warhammer knowledge. Oh, I totally completely unprepared. As he extrudes a flute from his wrist. Right, okay, yeah, the Merovech. He was a Grell Knight. He liberated, saved parts of Bretonnia from various Skaven sieges, and then he famously challenged the Bretonnian king to a duel beneath some sort of moon. I don't know on that. But it was
beneath some sort of moon. It was just a really fat knight's arse.
Just hanging over the battlements.
I thought I read somewhere that that happened. The battle happened beneath, like in some important date in the calendar or something, or maybe it marked a.
What
an
do you
important day in the
mean?
calendar.
You read it somewhere, Kral?
That's right. I read.
He's been
Yes.
researching.
You
Oh my
should
God,
not
it
be.
reads.
That is giving you a significant advantage and making me look awful.
Yeah, mate.
The significant advantage of reading. Stay in school, kids.
Yes, yeah.
Also, kids, what the hell are you doing listening to this? Your parents are a fucking outrage. Merovech, as Chris quite rightly says, was the Duke of Muzion, who rose up against the kind of Skaven invasion that happened around one of the many pox outbreaks. He rode out and broke the sieges of various cities, various dukedoms, and roughly followed the same path as Gilles de Breton and the Lads in terms of liberating, I want to say, beating off the Skaven challenge.
But you won't.
But I won't. He was aided at times by the Wood Elves of Athelloren, and people kind of ignored the worst of his bloodlust obsessions and his vile acts in the heat of battle. And when Bretonnia was liberated again, they had the grand feast at Muzion Castle, where, feeling underappreciated, he accused the king of jealousy. And this is where the story kind of diverges into two parts. One was that he challenged the king to a duel and won, thus earning at least a good shot at being the king. The other was that he leapt over the table with a monstrous visage. That's his visage, not the table, and tore out the king's throat and drained him dry. He drained a king dry. Drink king? Yeah, nailed it. And can't believe that got nothing.
At least he amuses himself, Kral, you know?
At my age, it's all I really have to do. The Fey Enchantress has then crowned a new Royarch, a new king, and declared Merovech a traitor. And the Dukedom of Lyonesse, which was north of a neighbour to the Dukedom of Muzion, invaded, and while Merovech was ultimately slain, he claimed many kind of noble bloodlines in battle. And by claim, I mean murdered.
What, in the battle?
In the battle, yeah. He just wiped out units of knights at a time.
Can you murder in a battle? Is that a thing? Or you just kill someone?
I think you can.
I'm sorry.
think-
Yeah. You've placed me into an existential quandary here. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So despite his kind of villainy and treachery, many, many knights and their families owed him debts of honor for saving them from the Skaven. He really liberated Bretonnia. They defied the king and the Fey Enchantress and built a huge tomb for him in Muzion. But because of the swampy conditions of Muzion, the Sylvania of Bretonnia, the mausoleum sank into the marshes and was lost. And even though there are many questing knights that go out and search for it, none have found it. And that, I believe, is where we left off in the previous episode. Mr. Chris.
Merovech, at this point, was he a vampire count still?
Yes, I think he was a vampire.
What was his incentive to rule and protect Bretonnia rather than his homeland of Sylvania? I'm assuming that was his homeland.
Rather than eat them all.
Sylvania is really the homeland to the von Karstein bloodline. So the other four bloodlines are four named bloodlines. No, wait. The other six named bloodlines, they're either kind of nomadic or they own separate parts. For instance, if you recall, the Lamian vampires have spies in every city. There are Lamian vampires in every city in the Old World, and they all answer to Neferata. Mr. Chris again.
So how did Merovech end up in Muzion?
Well, he was the duke. He was the rightful duke of Muzion while he was still human. And it's during the kind of
then he went vamp.
Plague, and he got turned, yes. Most likely by a blood dragon, because I think we've mentioned in one of the CODs that they are the kind of dark reflection of the Bretonnians' noble ideal. They are knights in the truest sense of the word.
So many follow-up questions. I don't suppose Merovech became undead. Was it tied in at all with Aberash's encounter with, who's the big Brittany dude who beat him? And then
Gilles de Breton.
Gilles de Breton, and then Aberash built the Maison de Tal or something, didn't he? That temple.
Yeah. No, that was about 700 or 800 years prior. So it was an unrelated vampire.
Just missed it. Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah, just missed it. In terms of a vampire's lifestyle, it was 2 days ago. But in terms of humans, yeah.
Okay.
But that is not the last we hear of Merovech. Indeed, centuries after he died, was entombed, and then sank, the tomb rose from the marshes like some sort of rising tomb. And it's very funny.
A turd that just won't flush.
Yeah, he was revealed to be a vampire. As opposed to he was always a vampire from the plague. He emerged from the tomb wearing a kind of barbed black steel full plate armor with a helm in the shape of a snarling dragon.
It's quite the Halloween piece.
Yeah, it does. It sounds pretty epic, but I would be more impressed if it came out and it was the expression of a smug dragon. And I wonder what that would look like.
Yeah, like the Leo DiCaprio meme from Django Unchained. It's just
the helmet has a little glass. And he wields kind of two huge cursed swords, kind of etched with dark runes and dark magic. And he wears the black fleur-de-lis, which is the ancient symbol of Muzion. He quickly seizes power by overthrowing the reigning Varghulf leader of Muzion, who is this enormous bestial vampire, if you'll recall. We haven't done this in months. I can even pop it in WhatsApp so you can see.
What? We haven't had one in so long.
Because you've been in Asia, Ben, that's why.
That's also true, yes.
That beastie monster is the thing that ruled over Muzion.
Nice.
Merovech overthrew the rule of this beast and imprisoned it in the dungeons of Muzion Castle, taking command of the undead legions, which now formed the core of his new army. But he was, for want of a better word, lonely. And so he began his quest to find worthy champions to serve at his side. And so, disguising himself as a noble knight, he entered into many Bretonnian tournaments where he discovered, I was going to say where he came across, not literally, but that, I think now that we've changed the intro, we need to change some other stuff as well. We'll be a bit more sober. And
I don't know,
concerned.
man. I don't know. Like, changing classics is dangerous territory. It's
Oh, fair enough then. He came across, not literally, a pair of brothers called Callard and Bertellis.
and was instantly entered into the Guinness Book of Records for
Yeah, for silliest names of the city of Garamont. He easily defeated Bertellis in kind of formal combat, but was impressed by the spirit and kind of potential that this warrior offered. So rather than just, nipping into his tent and giving him the old neck kiss,
nippy,
he orchestrated events over a number of months within Bertellis's life, which basically personal tragedy after personal tragedy, which ended up with his kind of expulsion from his family by his brother Callard. And Bertellis kind of wandered Bretonnia as this knight, the knight of depression.
Wow.
So just kind of
fun.
What's the point? Just sludging on. Merovech then revealed himself to him, probably fully clothed, and offered to train him, and eventually gave him the blood kiss and turned him into his kind of second in command of his new undead legion based out of Muzion. Together, they then brought their forces to Castle Garamont and slayed its entire garrison and burned it to the ground, kind of really severing all ties with Bertellis's past, so that he could focus purely on serving his new masters. Summoning corrupt nobles to their banner and resurrecting the most worthy as his kind of blood knight guard, Merovech's forces kind of grew and swelled in power, preparing for this kind of vengeance crusade across all of Bretonnia. A sort of shameful lads tour.
Reunion tour.
A reunion tour. Yeah. While they were preparing and training, Bertellis's brother Callard infiltrated into the Muzion castle as he was now a questing knight. And so snuck in disguise and kind of sought vengeance against everyone there for not only the kind of destruction of his home, but also the collapse of his brother's honor, if you see what I mean. Witnessing Bertellis kind of sparring and slaughtering knights in a dueling ring under Merovech's kind of watchful gaze, he
got horny.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sorry, I read the room.
That was it. He got horny and just sort of started jerking his two-handed weapon against the... he caused a distraction, which ultimately led the ghouls that kind of occupied part of Muzion Castle, who were still loyal to the Varghulf beast, the old one, released him. And so they stormed the castle while all these duels were going on. And sort of Callard's presence caused enough disruption that the ghouls were able to free their former master. We ended up now seeing a pair of duels happening, or duels. Merovech versus the old one, versus the Varghulf, and Callard versus Bertellis. And so as the minions kind of battled against the ghouls, Merovech faced off against the enraged Varghulf in a staggering and breathtaking duel, which was kind of a force of a Blood Knight vampire with two magical weapons fighting against an ancient and terrible vampire lord who has degenerated into this Varghulf beast. And as we discussed recently on one of the CODs, we talked about Cohen the Barbarian, from Discworld. Yeah, it's the old warriors that you've really got to watch because they've seen and done it all. Mr. Ben.
Is how big is a Varghulf?
A Varghulf is about the size of a Clydesdale horse. So one of these giant horses. Yeah.
On its back legs.
On its back legs with wings. Or with winged
wings.
arms. Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay.
And teeth. Hang on. Horses have teeth. Nasty. What are you talking about, Darren? Yeah.
Sounded like you were trying to describe the rabbit from Monty Python. Big, sharp, pointy teeth.
So, Merovech had knocked the beast kind of across the courtyard, and it had pounced back on him, but he evaded a kind of really powerful killing blow and managed then to climb up the Varghulf's back like a ladder. So it's like a teethed horse with a ladder on its back. And then just plunged both necks into the blade. So plunged both blades into the neck. These tongue twisters really have screwed me up. Merovech was knocked from the back of the beast as it was into its kind of death throes, and the beast now lunged at Merovech, who was unarmed. He kind of managed to reclaim one of his blades and plunged it again into the body of the beast, who then lunged back at him, and as it did, Merovech went in and tore its throat out with his teeth, draining the last of its, dragging it to an altar and draining the last of its blood. Which, why didn't it do that from the start? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Boss fights, they're weird.
Yeah, you could that would have been the fantasy version of cheesing, wouldn't it? You just get the boss in a position that it can't get you, and then just fucking spam. Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly not from Street Fighter, it's the low kick of Ken. That was the thing that exactly. you couldn't
the sweep kick.
Fight against it. That's right.
Back heel. Yeah.
So as Merovech was triumphing over the Old One, he witnessed Bertellus's death at the hands of Callard, who had finally avenged his family's honor. And with the distraction of the ongoing ghoul attack, a dose of the ghouls, Callard pierced his brother's heart because of the distraction with the kind of magical sword of Garamont.
Oh, no.
Yeah, what was that?
I was distracted.
Dragons and dryads. Yeah.
What is this new intro?
Where were they dragging them?
Dragons and dryads. Afterwards, Merovech knelt by Bertellus's kind of ashy remains, feeling perhaps genuine sorrow, but kind of undeterred, he took command of his army and marched out to bring his vengeance, not only for his own kind of perceived slights of the past, but also for the death of his friend, in quotes. He marched out, to bring vengeance to Bretonnia. He was last seen leading his immense army to the gates of Couron in this large tableau battle, and at his side rode the elite vampire knights he had created, the seneschals, kind of black armored vampire knights mounted on infernal steeds. I love infernal; it's such a great word.
They're like the what do you call them? The Hell's Angels of Bretonnia.
Yeah,
revving their horses. Flames coming out their arse and shit. No.
I don't know where the throttle is. It's kind of creepy.
You've never ridden a horse, buddy.
You've never ridden a horse.
No, I have not, Grell.
And apparently, from my descriptions, nor have I seen one. Yeah.
But when I do, I will no doubt get on and be like, "Where's the throttle?" Chris fucking lied to me.
So, Merovech's forces ploughed through the Bretonnian battle lines like a hot vampire through blood butter. And even though reinforcements arrived from other dukedoms, they couldn't kind of withstand the fury of the kind of vampire Duke of Muzion.
The badassery.
During the course of this battle, he was referred to as the Demon Duke because he just let himself completely go into an unholy fury. His kind of alabaster white face, framed by his white hair, made him quite the dandy on the battlefield, and quite easy to pick him out because that's where most of the screaming was coming from, I assume. He decapitated kind of questing knights with a flick of his blades, and it seemed that the center of the Bretonnian battle line was nearing collapse when from the skies, with a caca, came King Luancourt astride his mighty hippogriff. Now, the word astride makes me think he was standing on its back.
But with his legs really, really far apart.
Not his legs on the wings. So it was like this.
Yeah, just two little straps around his feet. Like.
He was. You've seen that one where Van Damme does the splits between two trucks.
Yeah.
It's like that, but they're the wings of a hippogriff.
The Volvo advert.
That would be a badass model.
Apparently, that was shot properly. The Van Damme with the two Volvo trucks reversing whilst he was doing the splits. Apparently, and it was to demonstrate the Volvo, I don't know, some sort of auto drive thing, how stable it was. I refuse, the danger involved in that, the risk assessment for that.
It's unbelievable.
I refuse to believe that's real. Just too risky.
That sounds so dangerous. I refuse to watch it.
Yeah.
Is it 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street? They did the trailer for that was Channing Tatum standing between two trolleys being pushed by two of the staff of the show, and the next scene is just him rolling on the floor holding his crotch. So funny. What a show.
The king's arrival, together with the arrival of his forces, really stemmed the tide of the losses that Bretonnians were enduring as he and his kind of collection of Grail Knights were striking down the abominable vampire knights left, right, and centre. Unfortunately, a sudden blow brought down the hippogriff, with the king kind of getting pinned beneath its bulk, much like Theoden in Lord of the Rings. Which I have seen and which was not filmed in reverse. The kind of loyal knights surged forward to form a kind of living shield around their king, and many of them gave their lives to save him.
As is their responsibility.
The vampire duke laughed. A kind of grotesque
scoff. Yeah.
Or maybe it was like Eric Tyrannus. We don't know. It might have been. It's described as a grotesque or maybe it was the Sid James one. Yeah. In the kind of final moments, all that was left was the royal standard bearer, who eventually was cut down and let the banner kind of tumbled into the blood-soaked earth, and then standing over the helpless king, Merovech kind of raised his blades for the killing blow, but the blade never fell because onto the battlefield rolled the newly chaliced Grail Knight, Callard of Garamont. Shot him
straight through the chest.
Who arrived leading, well, perhaps not leading, but accompanied by the wild hunt, of wood elf riders. And so they slammed into Merovech and the seneschals with the force of a kind of vengeful comet. His lance, granted to him by the wood elves, Eleth Anar, kind of blazed with holy fire. I'm going to guess it's green because of wood elves.
Green flames.
And one by one, the seneschals kind of fell to the blades of the wild hunt and the kind of vengeful Grail Knight. with the last
Were
of his...
they all skewed in a row? Like the lance just kept getting heavier and heavier. It's just like one pushed onto it, and then another, and then another.
An undead shish kebab.
One of the benefits of becoming a Grail Knight is you get forearms like Popeye, so you're fine.
Oh yeah.
Still standing over the kind of the fallen Bretonnian king, Merovech saw Callard and kind of roared with kind of vengeful anger and headed straight for him. And Callard had his lance kind of poised and charged forward. And in the novel, the kind of moment is suspended in time, much like you hear people describe in an accident, time seemed to move really slowly as you became hyper aware. And so it's described as he galloped forward, time slowed down, and he saw every detail, the kind of gleaming runes on the vampire's blades, the droplets of rain kind of sparkling against the blackened armor of Merovech, and a kind of sneer. Not a smug sneer, a vengeful
and a wink.
Sneer. And a wink.
A slow motion wink.
Is he closing his eyes? Is he opening?
How do you wink? Good Lord.
I don't. I blink.
I blink. The following is an advert on behalf of the Muzion Tourism Board. Oh. The lance is driven into Merovech's chest, and the vampire deflects a second blow from Merovech's lance as they kind of move around and jostle for position. Eventually, the lance does pierce through Merovech's throat, blasting through it in what's referred to as a gout of dark blood. And Callard rode on past the Duke of Muzion, the vampire Duke of Muzion, as he collapsed to his knees and choked. Wheeling around, Callard leapt from his saddle. Again, makes me think he was just surfing on the horse rather than riding properly.
Yeah.
They faced off against each other. Then Callard drove the blade forward. The Duke kind of parried it, spinning Callard around to face the other way. And then Callard quickly just kind of stabbed over his shoulder and caught the vampire kind of right in the chest.
What's up?
And only stopped when the hilt kind of struck the armor, which makes me think as he spun, he threw the sword over his shoulder to stab and then kind of kept falling to kind of get the full length of the blade in.
His shoulders. Ow.
Yeah. Popped his arm out of socket. Clank.
Yeah. Merovech then kind of made a soundless scream before his body became kind of shriveled and blackened and ended up like burned paper. Callard withdrew the blade and the Duke of Muzion collapsed into dust. Thus ended the Duke of Muzion. Mr. Chris.
Well, what an epic ending. Just remind me, you might have explained this when we were talking about vampire counts. Are vampire counts in Bunny, is it that easy to kill with regular weaponry, or do you need blessed magical items or certain materials to slay them in traditional vampire?
It's certainly easier. It's certainly easier to kill them if you've got an array of kind of magical items and equipment. But there are kind of witch hunters and vampire hunters in the Empire that just use hard graft. They just put the work in.
Chop heads off.
That's what they
and burn the
they do.
Burn the corpses.
Take names.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling to understand how lances are effective weapons, or how they're effective weapons that can be used multiple times. Because if you're charging at somebody with a lance and you plow it straight into their chest, you either have to pick the guy up and carry him with you and just shake him off the lance, or you let go of the lance. Or exactly, yeah. Like, or is it like, I don't know? Is the idea that it hits you so hard that you fly backwards and fly off the lance?
It's effectively. But also remember the Popeye forearms. They probably just flick them. So there's bodies flicking all over the place.
You'd be better off with a spear. Yeah, like lances. I have no idea about battling or fighting. I'm a lover, not a fighter, Ben. But
you're a bleeder, Kral.
But he's charging us with his lance. Ugh.
Lances don't seem like they're that practical in the heat of a real battle. You know, in tourneys, in the kind of like events and things like that. Yeah, spears, halberds are functional, but you know, like
they tend to be a one and done weapon.
Yeah, things. Seems a bit impractical.
It's a one and done.
Yeah.
If the wood elves came to you and they were like, "Where are the wild hunts?" and we grant you this lance, you'd be like, you got a sword going? Is there some? I prefer a slasher rather than a pointer. Like,
can I get one of your magical bows, please, instead of this stick?
Yeah. Can I get something I could use more than once? That would be excellent. Anyway, Kral and I know nothing about battle, so it's fine.
Yeah. That's why we're not knights, buddy.
We move on now to the, if we'll recall, a few episodes ago, we talked about the Araby and the Crusades, and we're moving towards now the Duke of Aquitaine, who was famously killed on the way back to Bretonnia after the successful conclusion, where Jafar was killed at Aik.
Aquitaine. It could be a really fun water park, or the part name of like I don't know, like a pond cleaning service.
Yeah. I can't hear it said without hearing Will Ferrell. Aquitaine.
We talk now about the Duke of Aquitaine, known as the Dragon Slayer or the Unscarred, a mighty warrior and incredible swordsman. The Duke of Aquitaine, at the time of the Crusades, was a living legend in Bretonnia, known as the Slayer of Nerluk, a dragon whose shadow once darkened kind of half of the province of Aquitaine. He's said to have felled the beast kind of by himself with just an ordinary sword, and his name then was etched in songs and sagas across the kingdom. Unlike most of the other knights and dukes and nobles of Bretonnia, he had no interest in becoming a Grail Knight. He did not go from, when he went from a knight errant to become a knight of the realm, he ignored any kind of desire or ambition towards becoming a questing knight and thus a Grail Knight and then being eligible for being king. He was groomed from his youth to succeed his father, so good grooming, not bad grooming. And he chose himself instead to devote his life to the governance of his dukedom. And while his younger brother Louis kind of vanished into the sacred kind of road of the questing knight, he himself remained and became the kind of unshakable guardian of Aquitaine. He was not someone who sat behind his walls. He rode out and defended his kingdom at the head of kind of many armies. And when his kind of neighboring dukes called for aid, he was always the first to respond in the positive. So he was really, what you'd want in the social hierarchy of Bretonnia. He was the kind of best, kind of cared for his kingdom, cared for the peasants under his rule. Not excessively. There were still peasants, but he kind of made sure that the the worst of the predations of the Warhammer world were fought back against. And so his kingdom became quite a kind of safe and secure place to live. Again, relatively speaking, within the environs of the Old World. His reputation as a statesman was well-founded and kind of widespread, and he was often invited to the courts of other dukes to offer kind of his insights and his kind of
experience,
his measured words. Yeah,
keynote
kind of
speaker.
thing.
He became a keynote speaker.
Yeah,
could charge a pretty penny per hour.
Yeah. While everyone else was off being all Grail Knighty and questy, he was the one who was seen as being, a solid leader and a good, in quotes, duke. And so thus when the invasion of Bretonnia, or the invasion of the Old World by Jafar, I'm not doing the voices.
He wants to. Oh boy, he wants to.
You say Jafar, we hear it in our head. We hear the voice. It's
You say Jafar, I say Jafar.
Jafar.
So he was one of the first to kind of go against the invasion by the forces of Jafar. Damn it, Chris! And he became such a kind of feared warrior amongst the Arabians that he was given the name El Shifa Shmil, which translates to the Northern Sword. So this is, if for any listeners who are familiar with history or indeed movies, a Charlton Heston movie, El Cid. This is what we're talking. He was a good nobleman who dealt with everyone fairly, regardless of religion or culture. This is the kind of leadership idyll rather than knight idyll.
A real lefty.
Ideal. Yeah. A real centrist, Chris. A real centrist, in the truest sense of the word, yeah.
Cool.
The name that was given to him, El Sif, it was not a name given to honor him, but it was a name kind of given to him in fear by the various tribes of Arabians under the leadership of the Sultan Jafar. He was to his enemies death incarnate, and his blade really was at the forefront of the crusades as they swept across Estalia and into the scorched lands. And indeed, it was his sword that slew the famous Mehmed the Butcher. I can't remember the voice I did for Mehmed the Butcher.
I think it was
Mehmed the Butcher. Yeah, no, jigs. Who was, of course, as you'll recall, one of Jafar's most ruthless and efficient generals. As the crusade then succeeded in the death of Jafar, it was when they had started to return to, or the forces were slowing down and starting then to talk about returning to Bretonnia. As you recall, Bretonnia left early, having effectively done what they had vowed to do in freeing the Old World slaves from the Arabian city, or the state of Araby. It was at the gates of Lashik, as the city burned and as the siege ended, he wandered the kind of scorched earth, reflecting on the fact that his duty had been done, when a band of assassins emerged from the dunes and struck out at him. And as he kind of handily slew them one by one kind of screamed out, but not in Arabian. It was actually in Bretonnian, and the Aquitainian Bretonnian language was used.
Ooh.
And it was revealed that this was Sir Bertrick, a knight from his homeland and vassal to Baron Guy de Gavaudan, who was the kind of trusted man of his brother's wife, Queen Aragond. He realized that while he was away, his rule was being usurped. As he kind of fought off the last of the assassins, one managed to get a poison blade to slide in between the plates of his armor at his back. And while he staggered around, the kind of desert wind kind of whipped up and howled around him, and he collapsed into the sand.
Never to be seen again.
It's funny. End of
found
story.
The next day. Yeah, okay,
the next dark hero, he was held in a kind of funeral bier, a kind of like a stretcher between horses, as they for 8 months returned to Bretonnia. What was happening was the poison was very powerful, but before his followers found him, Abarash, the founder of the Blood Knights, found him first and gave him the blood kiss, because the Duke was so well regarded in Bretonnia that he was well regarded as an honourable warrior by the vampire knights.
Abarash loves
him. He loves him, Chris.
He loves him, doesn't he? Warrior. He's fucking...
Oh, he's like...
Yeah. God, you're so fucking honourable, man.
Well, yeah.
I just want to bite you.
You're arousing me.
So over those 8 months, the powerful poison was fighting against the kind of dark magic that was inherent in the blood of the founder of the Blood Knights, or the Blood Dragons, sorry, that fighting for control. So although kind of catatonic, he was able to eventually the blood kiss won, and he became a vampire. Mr. Chris.
Sorry, I forget the character's name. Excuse me. It was this honourable...
the Duke of Aquitaine
person.
Elsif.
Elsif, that's it. Yeah. So within like a matter of not very long, he was poisoned, and then he was consumed by like darkness as well in his body. Was there any humanity left in him after those 8 months of poison and blood?
Well, it's poison and poison, isn't it? His body was just a bloody battleground for chemicals.
I mean, he died a long time.
Well, no, the thing was...
it's just like a lot... There's a lot of shit going on in there now.
So he was suffering 2 different deaths at the same time for 8 months. So he was poisoned or vampire.
And the poisons were like, no, I'm going to kill him. No, I'm going to kill him. No, I'm going to kill him. All right, Bo, like, let's just call it a draw. Let's let him live.
So,
split the difference.
Hiding, where possible, his vampire nature, as they kind of entered Bretonnia, he seemed to become himself. But upon getting back to his home, he learned that his wife had committed suicide, kind of mistakenly believing him dead, and just had lost all hope.
Proper Romeo-Juliet moment.
As he's mourning and largely immobilized by grief, he overhears the treacherous plots and betrayal being discussed by the Guy de Gavardon. Gavardon. It sounds like a Pokemon. And his own brother, Louis. And while he had, the grief had triggered this bout of immobilization, so he was once again kind of bedridden, assassins were sent to finish them off. But instead, the Duke kind of drains them. He drained a guy dry, and turned the Guy de Gavardon into a kind of vampiric thrall, like a Renfield-style character, like a servant, a kind of craven servant,
cool.
After torturing him for information. The Duke then, simply because of his grief, grew into a cruel tyrant. Well, probably not exclusively his grief. He was also a fucking vampire. And he enforced a blood tax. He claimed the right to examine noble brides on their wedding night in his domain, and began purging disloyal nobles from the ranks of the Aquitainian nobility. He built a new fortress, Crac du Sang, which is the Bloody Crack, or the Bloody Fortress. Mr. Chris?
Sorry, did you say this person gave himself the right to inspect brides before their wedding day or something?
In our own history, it was called prima nocta. It was the way that nobles were able to breed out the kind of the bloodlines of conquered enemies by humping all the women on their wedding nights. It's a horrific and barbaric practice.
Wow.
But in this case, the Red Duke, as he became known at this time, just drank their blood, effectively, as a kind of way.
Oh, well, that's okay then, Darren.
Yeah.
Would they have become vampires then?
Some of them did, but not all of them.
I've never quite understood how that practice works. Do you have to kind of backwash slightly?
You do.
Do you know what I mean? Or is it a magical thing?
The accepted practice is you drain all of the blood out of the victim, and then you replace, or drain most of the blood out of the victim, and then you replace it with some of your blood as the vampire, and then that causes that person then to have the vampiric infection. Hepatitis V, I suspect, is what we're going to start calling it. It's certainly what I'm going to start calling it. Hep V.
Vamp B, yeah.
Within Crack-Desang, he erects, I feel like a Crack-Desang! He erects a shrine to his dead wife and is kind of haunted by the fear that he'll forget her over his kind of long life. Anyone who's read Bram Stoker's Dracula sees where this is going. This is effectively, he's the Bretonnian Dracula. Despite his kind of blood-washed tyranny, many nobles remain loyal to him because of his kind of past honor and past pragmatism. And he attracts not only knights, but eventually outlaws and mercenaries drawn to kind of his tales of his kind of strength of arms, but also the betrayal he suffered at the hands of his brother. And so you get these kind of points of friction within Bretonnia.
Okay.
That was it. Yep. Unfortunately, as he was a Grail Knight, his brother then was crowned king as a big fuck you to the Red Duke, who raised an army to stop the spreading terror of his fallen sibling. The Red Duke laid siege to the Tower of Wizardry, a great kind of prophetess's tower within Bretonnia, hoping to receive the Lady of the Lake's blessings through the prophetess Isabeau. But unfortunately, one of the minor noble families within Aquitaine, the Delbic family, allowed the Duke of Quenelles and his army to invade, and Castle Aquitaine was actually destroyed, and most of Western Aquitaine was taken by the royal forces. He fought a great battle then at Serran Field, and we have a cheeky map. We haven't used maps in quite a while.
Oh, love a cheeky map.
So at the Battle of Serran Field, the Red Duke faced off against his brother, King Louis, directly challenging him to a single combat where, after some hilarious lance action, King Louis managed to pierce the Red Duke's heart with the Red Duke's own lance. Now that's a flex.
Don't ask how, but he's got my lance.
He steals your lance and then stabs him with his own lance.
Or maybe he stabbed him with the handle. Do you know what I mean? If he was coming in at him, but he actually held it wrong, and the other guy just stopped the end of it, he would just go plump and just stab himself. Yeah, lances are shit. I think that's what we're concluding. They're just rubbish weapons.
Who would choose a lance?
Yeah. It's weird. So after the battle, Castle Aquitaine was further kind of leveled so that no stone stood on top of another stone, and the land was salted by Grail Knights. King Louis, grief-stricken, refused to destroy his brother's body and just instead had it entombed in a marble tomb atop the Serran Field. Yeah. Rookie mistake.
Not
terrible idea.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah.
And it was adorned with a statue and inscriptions celebrating the warrior that the Red Duke had once been. The prophetess Isabeau's warnings were ignored, and she snuck out of the kind of Bretonnian lines one evening and enchanted the tomb to protect the land from the vampire that was in. So he was not only entombed, but he was then imprisoned magically so that he couldn't escape.
Oh, thank God for the prophetess.
King Louis refused
Yeah.
to do what was necessary.
Yeah.
He was just like, even though my man's now a vampire, I'm in denial and I'm just going to entomb him forever.
Have you learnt nothing?
Okay.
Yeah, we've learned nothing, Ben. We've learned absolutely
Even Krell
nothing.
knows this. Don't bury vampires. Fuck's sake.
Well, unfortunately, when eventually a few years later King Louis died, the Lady Isabeau, the prophetess Isabeau, ordered the removal of all inscriptions bearing the Red Duke's actual name to prevent the tomb from becoming a shrine to the kind of noble ideal that he once was. And so that's why he's only referred to as the Red Duke or El Sif, because his name has been erased effectively from Bretonnian history. 500 years later,
Meanwhile, in
the future, a witch leading a band of chaos cultists and with a kind of hired-on necromancer, hired by the descendants of the Delbic family, broke the magical seals around the Duke's tomb, hoping to channel his power. And instead, they accidentally released the Duke himself, who had been aware and living, in quotes, in his tomb for 500 years. He was utterly insane by the time he was released. He killed the cultists.
Saw that one coming.
Yeah. And drained them to regain his strength, enslaving the... Insanity. Enslaving the necromancer, but as I say, his mind had been broken by centuries of imprisonment. At times he was, however, quite lucid and dreamed of turning Bretonnia into a blood-soaked kingdom, kind of with himself as the immortal god king, commanding
that was when he was lucid.
Yeah, that's when he was lucid, Chris.
Oh, right. Good. Yeah. Nice.
When he wasn't lucid, he was just tugging on his nutsack and screaming into the void. That was 95% of his time.
For God's sakes, don't make him lucid.
Yeah, it sounds safer when he was insane, to be honest. Just let him be nuts. And tug on his nuts.
He kind of retraced his steps because he was kind of still thinking it was 500 years in the past. He went and then massacred the peasants in Merkel, a village, and defiled the kind of Grail chapel to reclaim his vampire thrall, Dugavudon, the Pokemon guy, and part of his original army. But once the army was started to be raised, he resealed Dugavudon for his kind of abject failure in stopping his loss during the First War. Mr. Chris?
So in prison for 500 years, would there have been any technological changes over those 500 years?
No, not really.
Is Warhammer Fantasy kind of stagnant in like that?
Yeah, it's very stagnant. Yeah,
okay. Just kept bust out and everyone was just like on their phones like...
Yeah. It's like iPhone 16. Fuck. It was only iPhone. Actually, after 500 years, it'd be iPhone fucking 7000, wouldn't
it?
Yeah.
After raising some kind of Barrow Kings and their kind of knightly and skeleton-y forces, Renner kind of really pushed to have this happen. But the Red Duke sort of refused their service, instead aiming to force the prophetess of the Tower of Wizardry to declare him a duke again, completely unaware that the Lady Isabeau had in fact been dead for 300 years, being killed in a battle.
He's really awkward, this guy, isn't he?
He's very awkward, very old-fashioned. It was a different time.
Yeah.
The language he uses, it's outrageous.
Yeah. You can't say that anymore, dude.
The kind of undead force was then brought to bear again at Seren Field for a second battle, 500 years apart, where the Duke used King Louis's personal banner to kind of trap the Red Duke in the kind of haunted images of his own past. And while the Red Duke fought fiercely, outmaneuvering his foe, and killing his own kind of undead minions as he kind of flashed in and out of lucidity. The Lady Iselda of Aquitaine, another prophetess, kind of transformed the blessing on the tomb to become a holy beacon that repelled the undead, kind of confronting the Red Duke with the horror of his own existence. The tomb, however, she enchanted was that of a Grail Knight known as Galland. And while the Red Duke, in his fury, was able to overpower Iselda, the Duke Gillion, the one who was wearing the fake banner, like he's got it on as a toga, flapping the fake banner.
Yeah.
Gillion was slain, and it was at that point that Iselda revealed the truth that Galland, the Grail Knight within the kind of enchanted tomb, was in fact the Red Duke's own son, hidden from birth.
What the fuck?
To protect him from kind of court conspiracies. It was after the birth of his son that his wife had taken her own life, and the bloodline of El Sith was managed to be brought back into the kind of power of Aquitaine. So while he was degenerated into a kind of vampiric existence, his bloodline kind of thrived within the nobility of Bretonnia. And in kind of disbelief, the Red Duke killed Iselda and then tried to enslave his son's spirit by entering into the kind of mausoleum of the tomb. And what happens there is not recounted, but the vampire
stays there.
Yeah, he fled from the tomb in absolute screaming terror at what had happened, and kind of fled the battlefield, his forces collapsing around him as he kind of fled the field. And so Bretonnia was once again victorious in battle, and the Red Duke was last seen disappearing into the wilderness, haunting around the area, the forests of Chalons, kind of driven into exile by the spirit of his own son. And scene.
What happened? What could scare a vampire?
I know.
A bigger vampire.
An honest takedown by his own son.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that's two examples of the kind of dark heroes of Bretonnia. And I think I alluded in one of the CODs that while chaos is a threat to all civilizations everywhere, it's the existential threat of the undead that really kind of chills the Bretonnian psyche.
Yikes.
Good to get a return of the undead of the vampire counts.
Kind
of history. I'm just trying to think of the other factions. I mean, they all had their stuff, but yeah, the Bretonnians are pretty engaging. They've got a pretty exciting history, despite your hate and disdain for them.
It's quite cohesive. It's not like made up kind of piecemeal of different stories. It all kind of ties quite nicely into one.
But they don't have ancient history in the same way that dwarves and elves do. No. So it's a bit more succinct, isn't it?
Yeah, It's the United States, isn't it? It's the young country in relative terms.
Yeah, the right to bear lances. Yep.
The right to bear lances. It would be a much safer environment if
I'm not getting into it. Half of our listeners are in the States. You do you. It's your country, it's your rules, it's none of our concern.
The National Lance Association will be in touch soon.
NLA.
The NLA. Right, you cheeky wee bastard, take us out.
Let's call it a day. All right, that's all from us. Thank you so much for listening. Details and imagery for the topics we've discussed in this podcast can be found on our website at layingdownthelore.com, where we also have all of our previous episodes, release schedules, and merchandise. And if you want more Old World content, just hit the Patreon link in the description where you can gain access to our bonus show, Chunks of Dar. You can also join our Discord now for free. So if you want to come and have a chat with us, just hit the link in the description and sign up today. We'll be back again soon displaying just how little Chris and I know. And until then, a cheerio.
See ya. I'm waving bye-bye.
Bonsoir. I don't know French.